very first Wellness Talks by video. My name is Tina Hogg and I am one of the co-creators of Saltuary along with my lovely husband James. I'm also the practicing naturopath in-house, which is why I'm here to talk to you about gut health. Now, I understand that gut health is quite the buzzword out there at the moment. You know, everyone's writing about it or they're blogging about it or, you know, they're making videos about it, and the irony doesn't sort of wash over me that we're doing exactly the same. But there's a really good reason that we are all talking about it, because the gut really is the seat of all health. If you have a very healthy, well-functioning gut, it makes for a much easier time for the rest of your body to be healthy and well. Whereas if you have a very, troubled, unhealthy kind of gut, then it makes for a much harder time for everything else in the body to be healthy and well. So it really does pay huge dividends to get your gut fixed up. Now, when I'm thinking about the people in clinic that we see an astronomical amount of gut problems, whether it's diarrhea or constipation or, excess burping or farting or, pain or indigestion, or whether it's something more serious, like a diagnosed condition like ulcerative colitis or something like that. Bloating's another really biggie. Reflux is another huge biggie. You really get huge dividends to your overall health and your overall sort of mental state when you get the gut fixed up, right? Now, since I graduated in 2005, it's astronomical what we have learnt about the gut. Most of us don't really think about what goes on in there. We get presented with this beautiful, colourful plate of food and we throw it down, and that's kind of the end of it. We probably think about something coming out the other end, but that's as far as it goes for most of us. But essentially, there's a crazy amount of stuff that goes on in there. It's completely fascinating if you're into that kind of stuff. You've got loads of books that you can find out there to read about it. But essentially, just like our skin, we understand comes into contact with the external world. It comes into contact with the air, and if we shower with the water and all that kind of stuff. We actually have a hollow tube. Our gut is a hollow tube that kind of goes through the middle of us, and essentially that's like an internal skin. Just as our external skin is in contact with the outside world, our internal skin is also in contact with the outside world. Whatever we eat, whatever we drink, if we inhale a bug as we're walking down the street, that all goes down into our gut and comes into contact with our body. It's then the job of the lining of this hollow tube, our internal skin, to decide whether something is friend or foe. Is this a nutrient that we want to kind of break down and let across the gut and into the body as such, or is it something that we sort of want to kill off and destroy and push it out through the other end? Now, there are also so many things that are related to the gut that we're learning more and more about as well. So, mental health, for instance, one of my favourite things to treat actually. Mental health is one of those things that we're knowing so much more about the power of the gut in affecting the power of the mind. So if anybody comes to me with mental health problems to help me treat them, the first thing I do is I actually jump down and I start surveying the landscape of that person's gut and kind of try to look for imbalances and symptoms and signs on what's kind of going on. Something amazing that I learned recently is all the bacteria that thrive in our gut, which is critical to our gut health. It's known as the microbiome collectively, but the microbiome of our gut actually sends 400 times the amount of messages to our brain than our brain sends to the rest of the body. So it goes to show the power of the gut, in way more conditions than just mental health, but that's just one of them. If mental health is an area of health that you are interested in, I recommend Googling gut-brain connection and going down that rabbit hole to see what you get from down there. Now, our gut houses an incredible amount of bacteria. Now, this bacteria is responsible for like 60 to 80% of our immune system, yeah? So when you're thinking about the immune system, if you have a really unhealthy gut, and a virus comes along and your immune system has to kind of go into bat to fight it, if you have a really unhealthy gut, it's the large bulk of your immune system is already kind of struggling. It's like effectively like your immune system has its hands tied behind its back. So you can imagine trying to go into fight with someone, and you've got your hands tied behind your back. You're probably not going to do that amazingly well. Now, all these bacteria in our guts, they're not necessarily good, they're not necessarily bad. You know, we need them all in there. We need this whole ecosystem to be balanced, just as, you know, a rainforest needs to have all the different species in there to kind of thrive as a whole. It's kind of exactly the same as our gut needs. The interesting thing about, I might even say alarming thing about this, but the interesting thing about our gut is that if you don't feed these bacteria, it's been shown that they actually start to nibble away at your insides. They start to nibble away at your gut lining, because just like us, they're live little guys and they need food. So you need to feed them good food. You know, when we're looking at gut health, food has to be the ultimate medicine here. If you have every amazing supplement under the sun, but you keep on throwing in the most rubbish, nutrient depleted diet, you're not really going to get anywhere. Do you know what I mean? And it sort of defeats the purpose. Food, first and foremost, really has to be our medicine here. And when we're looking at food for the gut, we're looking at whole foods. You know, we're looking at fibre-rich foods. We're looking at bacteria-rich foods, though not in all circumstances. I'll come to that. And we're looking at colours. You know, we're looking at eating rainbows every day, as they say. You know, eat some blues, eat some purples, eat some greens, eat some reds. You know, eat all those different colours. When we're also looking at our microbiome, it's been shown that diversity of the microbiome is where it's at. The more diverse your microbiome is, and cavemen or, you know, early humans had incredibly diverse bacteria, whereas these days we're not living as healthy as we once did, and we're not eating as many different foods as we once did, so our microbiomes and the bacteria is not as diverse. But when it comes to a healthy microbiome, diversity is good. It's been shown that to sort of eat somewhere between 25 to 40 different types of vegetables on a regular basis is how to get your most optimal microbiome happening. Now, that might sound a little bit scary, and when I first heard it, I thought, wow, do I eat that many? And we eat a lot of vegetables in our house. But really, I mean, you can look at like putting some fermented veggies next to, you know, some eggs in the morning or something like that. You can chop up some herbs to go onto those, you know, have a little bit of an avocado, squeeze in a bit of a, you know, lemon. Quite often I sort of add mine here and there, and quite often I'm up to, you know, 12, 13, 14, 15, like just with breakfast. So, you know, it's about adding in those good things rather than focusing on what you can't have. Just start adding in like lots of little good things. And like I said, add in 3 or 4 different types of herbs, you know, onto your eggs at breakfast, and you're already 3 into the, you know, within your first meal. So food has to be the medicine, and I love that that saying that Mother Nature was very clever and she packaged all her medicines into her food. So really do use that.